I literally just filmed this video and I thought I was being all technologically advanced using my brand new microphone, and it didn't work. There's just a silent video of me talking. So clearly I remain tech challenged and I have learned nothing, and the audio will remain subpar for now. But I started reading yesterday and I wanted to start a new reading vlog because I didn't start reading, I started listening to an audiobook. I was listening to Jonathan Van Ness's Over the Top, and I love him from Queer Eye. He is fabulous and flamboyant and funny, and I just find that he is fiercely who he is and unapologetically who he is. And I'm sure that it took quite a lot to get to that point, as it does for any person, but I just love him. I think he's fabulous. And so I started listening to his audiobook yesterday actually, and I'm over halfway through it, and it is definitely different to a normal biography, autobiography. And ordinarily, I mean, I've said this before, but I'm not a fan of the 0 to 18 section of a book. I find that generally it's a bit of a snooze fest. They are trying to, you know, relive childhood trauma generally so that you can understand them as an adult. But I find generally in biographies they go into so much detail and I get bored, and often I tap out at that point. And I mean, like, one of the things I loved about Lily Allen's biography, My Thoughts Exactly, was that she does do the parts of the childhood that you need to know, but she links it directly with the parts of her adult life that are relevant. So you don't actually just get bogged down in story after story of what it was like to grow up. And so the fact that the first half of Jonathan Van Ness's book is pretty much the 0 to 18 section of his life, I was like, ordinarily I would have walked away a long time ago. It would have driven me crazy, but he has an amazing way of telling a story. And I mean, obviously there were parts that were just awful, and I mean, he's been through some stuff, but I just love the way he talks about himself. I love his obsession with ice skating and the Olympics. I love that he changed people's names to Russian names to protect their identities because he's obsessed with the Romanovs. That was, and he just has a really great way of telling a story. And one of the things I was actually thinking about yesterday as I was devouring this book was that I'm not sure that I would have liked it as much in the printed version. I think that some of the things I love about him are the way he articulates, the way he abbreviates everything, which I do all the time as well. And we used to do it all the time in high school to the point where we called abbreviations abbreves. And I'm just not sure that that would have translated all that well for me personally reading it. Whereas listening to him talk, it was like having an awesome conversation with a friend. And he just really brings the story to life. And because he uses gorgeous and fabulous a lot, I think you kind of need him to bring that to life. And I just love listening to him tell the story. And I think that this is really one of those perfect examples of when audiobooks are awesome. I do personally love audiobooks generally, but I really love them for biographies and autobiographies when the subject of the book is the one reading the book, because I find it just brings a little bit more life to the story, and that is totally true of this story. And I'm a bit over halfway through and I'm totally loving it so far. And I just think he has a really interesting life. So far, where I'm up to now is he's about 22, 23, and he's kind of starting out life as a hairdresser, cosmetologist. And I think things are about to turn quite dark, but he does have just an amazing sense of humor. There was one part that, spoilers, that I'm probably not supposed to laugh at, but I was laughing as I was driving, as his mum called him and told him he had to come home because she thought he was on heroin, and they'd found the spoon and the lighter that he'd left on the porch. And he was smoking weed, but he'd just been eating cereal out on the porch because he's such a sugar fiend, and he just left the spoon out there, and she'd been watching Oprah, and just the way he tells it is and tells his mum she's crazy, it was good. Anyway, so that is reading vlog so far. We are, I don't know, end of September, somewhere in the 28th to 29th of September zone. And yeah, that's actually the only book I'm reading or listening to at the moment. I haven't actually picked up anything else. I know I meant to, but I had surgery this week. You can see the giant bruise on my hand, and I just couldn't be bothered. Writing vlog update. So it is the October long weekend. It is ridiculously hot outside. It is 32 degrees Celsius and it's first week of October, which makes me very, very scared about what's going to happen in summer in Australia. But I've got 4 days off. Today is Friday. It is already 3:30 in the afternoon and I haven't done anything other than go and see Joker, which was incredible and disturbing and so unbelievably well acted that my mind is still kind of reeling. And I understand the conversation about gun violence about this movie, but I also think it is being held to a standard that other movies like John Wick and Deadpool are not, which is unfair. I think that this is an incredible piece of art, and sometimes the job of art is to hold a mirror up to our faces. Anyway, but the rest of this weekend, what I plan to do is, so I've got 4 days off, except that Friday is basically gone. And I'm getting a massage tomorrow. And other than that, I have no plans other than to try and write. So where I'm at the moment, I am working on manuscript for book number 3. And I am 286 pages in. 118,504 words done, and we shall see how far I get. I've forgotten what this vlog was supposed to be, whether it was supposed to be a reading vlog or a life vlog, or I don't even remember. But basically what happened was I read Jonathan Van Ness's book and really enjoyed it. But then for some reason I haven't felt like reading at all since then. I just haven't been able to make myself do it. And this kind of happens to me a little bit after I get burnt by a book. So, I mean, I spend time reading a book and then I DNF it. I don't know why it then puts me off reading so much, but it really, really does. It doesn't happen as much with audiobooks, but it still happens. So even though I really enjoyed Jonathan Van Ness's book, I think the fact that I DNF'd Summertime has kind of removed all motivation to read. So if this was supposed to be a reading vlog, I guess it's not now. But what I have been doing is, because it's the October long weekend, which means I have 4 days off work, is I had a massage, which was glorious. That was at work. So I guess I kind of still went to work. But anyway, I bought a new computer because my other computer was really struggling because it was so full. And I've also been reading through book number 3 and making some edits and doing that sort of thing. But also within the space of 2 hours, I got the second draft for the cover art for book number 2 back. And there's really only some teeny tiny minor changes that I want to make or see if we can adjust slightly. And then it's onto the spine of the book and the back of the book, which means that I need to apply for a barcode for the ISBNs that I have for one of the paperbacks. And then I also need to go through the manuscript for book number 2 because it also came back from the editor yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And so I need to go through and start having a look at the changes that he suggested as well as the general editing and merge that into the manuscript that I currently have for book number 2. And then I'll be printing it off and going through it. But I was kind of enjoying going through book number 3. So I think I'm going to put off book number 2 for another day or so. Not that I'll get anything done tomorrow because tomorrow is back to work and it's a full day, but maybe later this week. I know I said I was in a reading slump and I wasn't going to read anything because I didn't feel like it. So then I started listening to Sanditon, which is Jane Austen's unfinished manuscript. And I started listening to it because I saw shorts for the new, I guess it's a TV special version of it, kind of like they did ages ago with Colin Firth and Pride and Prejudice and Jennifer, I want to say Eel, but I can't remember exactly what her surname is. But I forgot how much I don't do well reading classics. I always love them when they're converted into movies or into TV shows, because they cut out the thing that I hate from classics, which is the endless conversations about nothing. So I think I'm like 5 or 6 chapters in. The first chapter I actually skipped ahead because I just couldn't cope with any more conversations about what the quality of the soil was like, or it's basically like having a really long conversation about the weather. And I really struggle with that part of classics, and how you always have, well, I feel like with Jane Austen books, it's really common that there's a hypochondriac in there. And in the opening chapters, spoilers, there's this guy that gets a sprained ankle, and he has to like take refuge at someone's house for 2 weeks because he sprained his ankle. Like, buck up, champ. So I find I do get quite cranky reading classics. So I'm not enjoying Sanditon so far, and I feel like if anything, it's going to prolong my lack of desire to read, because whenever I DNF a book, it's like it burns me and then I don't want to read again for a while. But I'm just hoping that this gets good at some point, like Pride and Prejudice does, but so far I feel like it's not gonna happen. So I rearranged my office a little bit because I was struggling just staring up at a very intense pink wall. I have also just been generally struggling to sit down and write and not be able to move around the house with the laptop like normal. So you can see where I've moved it to and why I've moved it. It's so much nicer with that natural light coming in and the beautiful green outside. The other thing I am doing today is getting ready to send some signed copies of The Hunted out to people who have requested it for review. So if you're interested in young adult fantasy fiction and you want to potentially get into a new series, definitely let me know. There is a video link below to the information about how you can get given this book for free, and what information you need to send me, and how you can get in touch. So this is going to be my last update for this hybrid life reading, writing vlog. And where I'm up to is that I have received the second edited manuscript for the Phoenix series, and I am starting to go through the changes. Most of it is just sentence tightening, but I'm going to try and get that done in the next day or two, and then I'm going to print it off and start going through the manuscript again to see what I can see, because I just find I see more looking on a page than I do staring at the screen. And then I also received today a box of books. Okay, what have we got in here? Copies of The Hunted. And that box was filled with copies of The Hunted that are going out to people who are willing to review the book for me. So if you are interested in potentially reviewing this book and receiving a free copy of it, then definitely check out the link that I'll pop below, which is a little bit about how you can get in touch with me and what information I need in order to be able to send you a copy for a fair review. AuthorTube at the moment is all about Preptober and NaNoWriMo, and I've never done NaNoWriMo. I did it for like a day last year, but then I was in a patch where I was having some wicked bad insomnia, which has never happened to me before, so it didn't happen. Anyway, and this October for me is not about prepping for anything. I am, apart from publishing, I'm trying to get this editing process done so that I can give myself a little bit of space from it and then go through it again before I hit the publish button. And I thought if I can get through this, I might participate in NaNoWriMo, because I already have book 4 like well and truly plotted out, so I don't need to do Preptober. I thought if I can get all of this done and then give it to the readers to give them a little bit of time and give me a little break from it and get it ready to go, then what I might do is try and participate in NaNoWriMo by starting book 4 of the Phoenix series and trying to get, I guess, 50,000 words of that done. The difficulty is that I work, and I work quite a lot, and I work yeah, my job chews up a lot of my time. So I don't know. It might end up like last year. Maybe this year I'll get through 2 days and that will be progress from last year. But I guess it just depends a little bit if I feel like writing. I try not to force the issue because I find when I try and force the issue, it just turns out to be crap. So I recently was trying to find a way to get a certain event to happen in book 3 in the Phoenix series, and it was like pulling teeth, and then I changed it and it just came really, really easily. And I find generally with writing, if I just go with the flow and go when I feel it, and then it's just easy as pie. In terms of the effort, I hate writing and forcing myself to sit down and do it when I don't feel inspired to do it. So I just don't. And also, like, there's only so many hours in the day and so many hours in the week, and there's only so much I can get done. So that being said, we'll see about NaNoWriMo, but I would like to participate, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this vlog, and I hope you'll subscribe to this channel and like this video. Let me know below in the comments if you're doing NaNoWriMo, and if you are starting a new project, how many words you're hoping to get written in November. And I will see you all again in a vlog very soon.